Hello and welcome back to the ISJ Leaders in Security podcast. My name is James Thorpe, editor of International Security Journal, and today I'm delighted to be joined by two key members of the Optex Security EMEA team, Senior Technology Consultant Rick Wakeham and Mark Cosgrave, who is the company's Divisional Director for Western Europe. With over 20 years of experience in the security industry, Rick has been part of the development of security technologies from purely analog systems through to current multi-platform digitally integrated solutions. In his current role, he is responsible for Optex's technical support teams, as well as working with R&D to develop the next generation of detection innovations. Mark monitors current needs and opportunities in the industry to drive solutions that help managers, integrators and installers improve security in their operations. With a strong background in engineering and a results-driven approach, his diverse skill set and commitment to excellence makes him a valuable leader in the field of security solutions. Rick, Mark, it's great to be speaking with you today. How are you both?
Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. Pleasure to be here, James.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely, James. Pleased to meet you.
Well, likewise. And, as we look ahead to 2024, whilst every year is important for businesses in this field, it's a particularly big year for Optex specifically, as it's your 45th anniversary as a business. So, Mark, can you tell us a little bit more about, the history of the company, and can you highlight some of the key milestones and some of them that you've seen in your time as well with the business?
Oh, well, yeah, it's, as you said, it's almost 45 years the company's been in operation for. The actual journey is quite an interesting one. We kind of started in kind of humble environment, back in, we're a Japanese company, so it was back in a little coffee shop in Kyoto, where a group of engineers came together and they thought that they would create a company which would focus on societies and using technology to try and resolve the needs of society. So it's quite interesting, really, to focus, the ethos of the company on sensing technology at its core and how we can move forwards. If we kind of fast forward a little bit from back in 1979, a long time ago, they were very much focused on developing indoor security, and they very much pioneered, though, the ethos of a good security system should try to prevent an intrusion by proactively rather than just responding after an intrusion has occurred. So they decided to pioneer kind of outdoor security, and that's what we're generally known for today still. But they introduced a sensor configuration which is kind of now standard across the industry. So really kind of was that driving factor. Around about the 90s, we introduced kind of digitized our sensing technology. This really kind of utilized the advancements in like CPU processors to improve decision making within the sensor itself. Then I suppose turn the millennium, we looked to expand our reach into the market. We did this by acquiring a company called FiberSensys, which really did, which is a kind of segment of a vertical of the security industry where we'd been positioned more on long range detection and things like that. We then acquired another company called Raytech, again, a vertical from security focused on lighting applications for security security systems. And then, we also pioneered LiDAR technology, designing a purpose-built sensor for the security industry called RedScan. Now, in 2023, we're combining that versatile technology with video to offer more functionality to our customers.
Fantastic. And how long have you been with the business yourself, Mark?
I've been with Optex for 10 years, but within the industry, over 20. Too long.
And, think about your own role as well, Rick. In your own personal experiences, can you tell us a little bit about how you've seen the industry develop, obviously with the transition from analog to digital? Give us a little bit of an insight into that.
Yeah, so when I started in the security industry nearly 25 years ago now, everything was a very individual system. We had very siloed systems. So you'd go to a security manager and you'd be selling a CCTV system. he'd be selling a separate access control system, a separate intruder system, fire system. Everything was very much individual and siloed.
Yeah.
Very, very little interaction between all the systems. They were individually monitored, so a front desk would have a screen specifically for the cameras, another one for the access, another one for the fire. And the interaction between the two is very, very basic alarm contacts. So you'd have a fire alarm panel putting out a closing contact to say to the access control system, there's been an alarm. The cause and effect, therefore, was very limited. And you skip that forward, even 1 decade on from there. So the early 2010s, everything was kind of migrating from analog to digital. So we're moving away from the copper-based systems to IP technologies. And with that, all the systems became more data-driven. So we were no longer just talking to security managers. We were talking to IT managers, because everything was suddenly going on their networks. And the faces some IT managers pulled when you said, we're going to put your CCTV on your network now was amusing. But now everything is about the information sharing. Between systems, everything's passing information backwards and forwards, and they're centralized platforms. Everything now is moved. First of all, they moved to VMS, so the video management was no longer go and grab a tape out of the tape store and look for the footage. You were able to digitally search for it. But now it's moved on another level from that. So it's no longer just video management systems. They are PSIMs. All the information is gathered together so that we can share that information. And as a consequence of that, all the devices now that are supplied on all the platforms require more information to be given. And this is, again, a key factor of the LiDAR. The amount of information we can give from a detection system is far greater than you can get from a passive infrared detector. And it's the same for CCTV. The cameras are passing more information. They're doing edge analytics to see object classification. But more and more so, we're seeing that the devices themselves are becoming more multi-purpose. So no longer is a CCTV camera just a CCTV camera. It could be a door entry system as well. It's still on the security system, but people are looking at ways to access devices to use them for different purposes. It kind of fits in with the ecology of society at the moment, which is, where Optex want to be. We want to be a society-based company. And so our technologies are used, yes, they're intrusion detection, but they're also sensing activity. So they are used for such things as lighting controls. So as society moves on and it's energy saving, it's what else can we use these devices for? And that's the big difference about where the industry has changed. I joined an integration company that was purely about security in 2000.
Okay.
2019, we were into building management systems as well, because the projects were so very, very similar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from as a business, like you touched on at the start, Mark. I mean, your own beginnings you've come from. I think that's how you can apply that approach to it, and having those smart but customized solutions which solve a range of challenges. And could you elaborate a little bit on the different technologies which are available for security and intrusion detection?
Oof, wow, there's a very wide array of different types of technologies. I suppose the question would be why is there a wide array of different types of security technologies? So if we're talking, there's more traditional technologies such as passive infrared and microwave technologies using Doppler. Even ultrasonics, active infrared, and then as we start to move along the different types of sensing technologies, we've got radar and LiDAR and analytics. All of these are coming together now to provide different solutions to customers, but it's also important to remember the environment to which you're installing that technology. Unfortunately, there is no one size fits all. So you need to have a company especially an installation company that has a broad array of solutions, so to make sure that the product fits the application rather than the application trying to squeeze into the product's parameters.
I think it's key what the point Mark's raised there. There is no silver bullet technology.
Yeah.
There's no longer a situation where we can say this device will fix all of your problems. And it's a really important role now for both consultants and system designers that they're specifying the right technology and device for their application and for their situation. They need to understand the strengths and weaknesses of all of those technologies at the pre-design phase, and that's where Optex are trying to help. We have a series of CPD courses. We have online training for our own products. Obviously, we will go and assist people on site to train them on site. We have a new training center in Madrid as we expand further with the support into Europe. But the importance really is on the education, because if consultants and system designers don't understand all of the technologies, then they can't understand which is the right one for their need.
Yeah, and I mean, well, obviously, we'll kind of touch on that holistic part of and your approach later, because I think that's something which is really core, like you said, to how you operate as a business globally. But I just want to quickly jump back to the mention of LiDAR there. Obviously, the last couple of years, we've worked really closely on International Security Journal with Optex, and we've covered a lot of case studies and some fantastic pieces looking at the power of LiDAR and how it's being deployed. So, it's obviously in such demand right now, but I mean, Rick, can you just, can you tell us a little bit about some of the applications of LiDAR in the 21st century?
Yeah, absolutely. So Optex specialize in 2D LiDAR. So we use this for our own specific reasons. We're not there to try and create you a 3D visual map that looks good, because the processing power required for that is intense, and it no longer can be done at the edge. Therefore, you're looking at additional hardware, additional data transfer. Our devices are all edge devices. All the processing is done on the edge. The applications that can therefore run through with those, for example, are anything from transportation to logistics, high-end residential security. One really nice example we like to use is the tunnel protection in the railway industry. So we can detect on the opening of a tunnel, we can detect when a train is going through and ignore that. That's not an alarm. But if we see a person walking alongside the train, so down access hatchways, etc., that could be flagged as an alarm. Equally, when a train is not passing through, anyone on the track is clearly an event that needs to be dealt with. So using both the algorithms and the dynamic event filtering within our devices, we can detect both objects simultaneously and determine which one is the alarm and which one isn't. The specificity of being able to give graphical information about where the object is actually occurring is invaluable to people who are needing to make an immediate and critical response. If we stick with the railway industry, level crossings are another big one. Unmanned level crossings are a particular risk both to the public, importantly, but also to the infrastructure. No one wants a train hitting a car or a person or a bike or a cow. So those, the transportation is a big one for us with the LiDAR, but equally we can use it airports, anything with a large perimeter. Now, the LiDAR, where it has its real strengths, is around those extra points where you need additional security. So gateways, for example, we can use the filtering again, that when the gate is closed, that's just a fence line. There's a different algorithm in place at that point. We're looking at people climbing over the fence. Once that gate opens, the benefit to the LiDAR is that can then scan the entire gateway and say anything coming through is an intrusion. We can use the filtering for logistics. Another one, so if we take large data centers now, large distribution centers, where you're expecting to see large articulated lorries reversing up to a loading bay. We can use the LiDAR to scan that loading bay, and if the vehicle's over a particular height, that's expected, so that's okay, that's not an alarm. But if suddenly a transit van rocks up at 3 o'clock in the morning and reverses up to the loading bay, we can detect that that's not supposed to be there, and that can trigger an alarm. And give that precise information as to where the incident is occurring.
Well, it's interesting, you touched on the airports as well. I know we recently covered an article from you guys about, your application of your technology in airports. And obviously, when you think of the you've got small airports, you've got major international airports, and when you think about that approach and going back to touching on having a customized and bespoke solution, you've got an option for different environments and deployments. So that's really important. But Mark, I'll just quickly jump to you on this one as well. I mean, a term which we hear a lot in the industry is thinking about kind of a multi-layered approach to security. Can you tell us a little bit more about, in the context of creating an effective security system, why this is so important?
Well, the term multi-layered, I suppose, from Optex's perspective, we coined that when we originally looked to go outside, when we were looking at protecting the perimeter rather than just the internal. There was, a tradition to just use the technology internally, but as technology improved, we started to take technology outside because the ability to be able to provide accurate detection, but also manage the environment was one of the key things, and that was with technology evolving, is being able to cope with it. But multi-layered, from our perspective, every man's home is his castle. And the way that we kind of looked at it was, the building is a bit of a fortress with a layer upon layer approach. Yeah. So, you start at the outer perimeter, and that's perhaps going to be your fence line. And there's technologies which are good for that type of application: straight line detection, narrow detection field, and then you have the area between your perimeter edge towards the building. We call this boundary. This can detect approaching intruders, some more volumetric detection, and then you have the building itself. So we would protect the building, and then internally in the building. The idea is this approach not only enhances the security, but it also provides multiple chances to detect and migrate a threat before it escalates. And that's the key thing. It's about preventing that point where they've gained entry into a critical area. So that's why a multi-layered approach is so important.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I know
the best case scenario when you've detected an intrusion is you're replacing a door or a window where the intrusion has occurred. If you can prevent them at an early stage using this multi-layered approach, you've saved yourself.
Yeah, one of the key things I think as well is by detecting people externally, there's no influence on your business. Yeah, there is a cost to replace the window or replace a door, but there's the impact on the business itself. If we're talking about commercial or industrial applications, there could be downtime on the actual business. We have a lot of applications nowadays where we're protecting infrastructure, and if there's theft or damage done to that infrastructure and it's down for a period of time, there's severe penalties for not continuously supplying that service. So it's important, it's essential that we prevent that intrusion from actually getting there and damaging the property or the premises itself.
It's a good point, actually, Mark, because in the commercial environment these days, everything is now moving to a just-in-time manufacturing. So any downtime has a significant impact on any business. Yeah.
And I think when you think of downtime, I think something you associate typically as well is also, reputational damage as well. And I think this, this ties in nicely when we're thinking about cybersecurity. Rick, I'll throw this one over to you because I know Mike was keen to chuck it your way. So if you're thinking about cybersecurity in the ecosystem context,
it's one of the big knock-on effects of the digitization of systems. Is that, as I alluded to before, we're no longer dealing with security managers, we're dealing with IT managers. And as you move into, there are particular industries, for example, if we're protecting a data center, there's no device getting onto that network that is not secure. We have to go through multiple testing facilities to make sure that our devices are approved to go on to some sites. And that will be the same for any manufacturer of any IP device. And that's a big key in our R&D, is that now we're looking at ways to make sure that all of our future products are built with that security by design. We've moved into using the ONVIF platform. Mark mentioned earlier about the LiDAR now incorporating a camera. It's there for a verification purpose and a setup purpose, but it also gets us onto a standardized platform, the ONVIF platform. This makes integration much easier, but it also means that we're working to standards. Yeah. And the security protocols we're now integrating with those devices, 802.1x is absolutely specific. The ability to load security certificates onto a device is imperative in quite a lot of cases now. And we work with more and more VMS platforms, PSIMs, any software platform that requires these now. It's by default, everything is HTTPS as an absolute bare minimum, just to make sure that rogue devices aren't getting onto the systems. And Optex are developing new products all the time with those protocols in there by nature now.
Fantastic. And I mean, obviously, that responsibility and kind of keeping an ear to ground a little bit as well is clearly really important to Optex as a brand. And, going back to what we were chatting about earlier as well, you've just opened this fantastic new training centre in Madrid. It's designed to give, your partners and customers across the peninsula, that experience and work with your full portfolio of solutions. So, can you touch on a little bit more, maybe Mark, if you want to jump in here, but about kind of how you do take a holistic approach generally across the business, and why is it so important to educate and support people in the industry?
Well, we believe that empowering the industry through education and support is essential. We're looking at this to include not just providing, education on cutting edge technology, but also to ensure that people understand and use the product effectively. From our, like you mentioned before, we've opened up the technology center in Madrid to enable that localized support, and we're committed to providing committing to providing and creating well-informed professionals who can maximize the potential for our technology.
Fantastic. And I mean, I think kind of obviously that was a big announcement quite at the back end of 2023, for you guys. And obviously I'm sure there'll be plenty on the horizon internally and some major plans you have for the next 12 months as we look ahead and beyond that as well. But, I kind of want to come to you both personally from your current roles. What's next for Optex? It's, like I say, it's a big year it's an anniversary year. It's a lot of rough time for reflection and forward planning as you carry on, leading the market. So, Rick, what's on your radar really for the next 12 months?
I think it's just how we combine the technologies. That's always been the key. We were alluding to it earlier, how it's important for people to understand at a design phase how we want to combine the technologies. But as a manufacturer, we need to look at how we can better combine the technologies. We've worked with passive infrared and active infrared. We've worked with microwave. We've worked with LiDAR. We've worked with radar. What does the industry need next? That's where we're always looking. Is don't just develop more of the same. We need to see which combinations work better in an ever-changing world. If you just said to us 20 years ago, how are you going to protect a data center? We would have said, what's a data center? So if you think about a design process, it takes many years to go from concept to production of a device. So you need to be in tune with what may or may not come. You need to see where society is going and see which of these combinations of technologies give us the best advantage. And give customers what they need. This is the critical thing. We need to know what the market is going to need, and I think that combination of technologies, the sharing of the data, is where everything is going. And for us, we've just released the RedScan Mini Pro, which is the shorter range version, which incorporates the camera. It has analytics that we can create the dynamic event filtering, but on a shorter range. But we're looking at different ways that we can use that video to enhance the product. The LiDAR is the detection. The camera is there for post analytics and for verification. And we're seeing that need in the market, that these combinations are needed.
Yeah, I think the future for us is to blend is a blend of innovation, integration, and intelligence. We're looking at how different technologies can harmonize to create more effective and intelligent systems. I suppose the next step is not just about new products, but also a Smarto ecosystem where devices are not only interconnected, but also intuitive and proactive to address the security needs, the specific security needs of our customers.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's quite a nice point to finish on, really, guys. So I just want to say, Rick, Mark, thank you for joining me today. I think we've covered some really interesting points, and for everyone listening, if you want to find out more about Optex's work and stuff, visit optex-europe.com, the website. There's plenty of information there. You find out about the range of technologies, and also keep an eye on internationalsecurityjournal.com. We cover a lot of regular news from Optex, and it's been great speaking with you guys. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Thank you.